Hello friends, Fagun Shah from Integration Lab here. Today we are going to learn about automation jargons, or you can say the technical terms we need to know in automation industry. Okay, these are very helpful terms which you will see many times in support forums or people who want to create a new workflow or want to ask the support team about something, and support team will mention these particular technical terms. So you need to know these technical terms only once, right? And once you know them, you can ask the questions better, you understand the support team's answers better. Okay, so everything will be much easier for automation, and most of these terms are common across all type of automations, whether they are like automations in tools like Pabbly, Zapier or Integromat, or maybe they are like scraping type of automation. Most of these terms will be common across them. So we have a whole list here made for today's topics. Okay, so let's first get started with the dashboard. So in any automation platform, once you log in, you get this particular screen. So this is your dashboard. Okay, where you can see some menu on the left side. There are buttons like upgrade. You can see the other apps which are available from Pabbly. Okay, so this is a Pabbly Connect dashboard, right? And you can also see the my account and subscription. So if we go to my account, and yeah, this is my account page where you can change your profile things, a password and security things. You can enable two-step verification from here, right? You can also access the all apps from this left hand side menu. This is your subscription. Okay, so which shows the detail related to your subscription. Here are more related notes, like for example, have you earned any affiliate commission from Pabbly or not, your invoices, your current subscription, everything will be here available in here, which you can go from my subscription. Okay, and the last option is the logout. Okay, so this was the first part of the dashboard. Now let's check the other side. So on the left hand side, you can see there is a dashboard which is basically a home of your Public Connect account, right? And next is workflow. So if you click on the workflow, you will still, I think so, stay on the same page. Yeah, okay, so basically you go to the first workflow based on their sorting. Okay, the next one is history, which shows all the workflows history. Okay, this is something which we are going to check later. Okay, the next one is settings. In settings, one very important thing is the time zone. So if you want to see your workflow histories in your own time zone, make sure after you purchase Public Connect or you start a free trial, you select your own time zone. For me, it is Indian time zone, which is Asia Kolkata, UTC plus 5:30. Okay, the last icon is the help one. So in the help, you can ask a question. As soon as you click on this button, you will be taken to the Pabbly support forum. Okay, they also have a very useful YouTube channel. Suppose we click on the ask a question. As you can see, you will be taken to the forum.pabbly.com. This is their official support forum. Their technical team is active on this particular forum only. Okay, so whenever someone tells you that you should ask this in a support, or you should ask this question in a forum, this is where you need to go. You need to sign up here, and then you need to post your question in Pabbly Connect's support forum. Okay, there are many products from Pabbly. One of them is Pabbly Connect. So you need to go to Pabbly Connect's general discussion, and you can ask a question here. Okay, else you can also create a private discussion question as well. Now what is the difference between general and private? So private discussion are only seen by you and Pabbly team support staff. Okay, I cannot see that, other people cannot see that. But if you post the question in general discussion, everyone on the forum can see your question and try to help you out. Okay, so that's the difference between general discussion and private discussions, right? So this is the official way to get support from Pabbly. Okay, one more thing, on the dashboard you can see the task usage. This is my monthly task. Okay, out of which I have consumed this much task, this many tasks are remaining, and this is the task which are available for free inside Pabbly Connect. So I am going to show you which tasks are free inside Pabbly Connect later. Okay, so stay tuned for that as well. So task usage is done. And yeah, one more thing, in case you just complete your subscription and you want to upgrade it, you can upgrade it using this particular button called upgrade. Okay, and the last thing you need to know on the dashboard is folders, where you can create a new folder. Just let's give it a name, dummy folder. Let's click on create. Here it is, dummy folder. You can go there and you can particularly manage that workflow, collection of workflows from here. You can also search your workflows from this workflow tab, right? And you can also scroll down workflows from here. This is a faster way, I think so, to go through all the workflows or search any workflow and open that particular workflow. Okay, and yeah, so this is public specific dashboard things. Now let's get into the particular technical terms which we need to know when we create the automations. Okay, so let's get started for. Okay, so the first term which you need to know is the use case. Now what is use case? For example, you want to connect Facebook and Google Sheet, and then you want to send them the WhatsApp message to that particular Facebook lead. So this is your use case. What you want to exactly do is your actual use case. In technical term, it is called use case. So many time people will tell you, please share your use case. What exactly you want to do with these apps? Okay. So there you need to mention that this is you want to exactly achieve using these particular applications. Okay, so that was the use case. Now let's see what is the workflow. So basically a workflow is a step-by-step process of achieving an automation, right? So basically, if we let's create a workflow here. Let's first go to dummy platform, dummy folder. Okay, let's click on create a workflow. Here you can see the pop-up window, demo 1 2 3. Okay, let's click on create. So now what you are seeing on your screen is called workflow. Okay, so workflow is basically collection of a single trigger and one or more actions. So whenever something like this happens, it should do these particular actions. For example, whenever someone submits a lead form on Facebook, Pabbly should send them SMS, email, and WhatsApp message. So in this use case, in this workflow, first the trigger will be the Facebook. Okay, the trigger app. The next topics which need to cover is app. Okay, so Facebook is a app. Facebook lead ad is the app, and the new lead is also is the trigger event. Okay, so when this happens, when new Facebook lead comes in, okay, then do this, which is called action, right? So choose your action. So let's suppose we select MSG91, which is a very popular SMS application. Okay, so send SMS. We chose the app name is message91, action event is send SMS. Okay, so whenever someone asks you or whenever you try to contact support or something like that, you need to mention which trigger app and which trigger event you are using, and also which which action app and which action event you are using. Action app and action events are different things. Okay, there can be multiple action events for a single action app. Okay, so I hope now it is clear for you what is trigger, what is action, what is an app, what is a trigger app, what is an action app, and what are the trigger events and what are the action. Here you can see the three dots, right? So here you get the option to rename the workflow, right? You get to clone, duplicate the workflow. You can share the workflow across other accounts as well. So if you click on that share button and copy it, okay, and if you give someone that URL, they will be able to import this particular workflow in their account as well. But don't worry, your credential does not get shared by default unless they are in a plain text format inside an API call. Okay, you do not need to worry otherwise. You can move this particular workflow to some other folder as well. Okay, you can see the history for this particular workflow, right? And you can also delete this workflow. Now you can also enable and disable the workflow using this particular on and off toggle button. Okay, so this is disabled, this is enabled, right? There are total two types of trigger. For example, we want to get the leads from Elementor. Elementor is a very popular WordPress page builder. Okay, and they have forms with webhooks. So here you can see the webhook. Now there are two types of trigger. One is webhook based, which are instant. Pabbly is a webhook first platform. They always prefer the webhooks. Okay, now another type of trigger is polling type of trigger. Polling type of trigger may take up to 10 minutes to get the data from the trigger application. Okay, if you want to know more about webhook and polling, you can see my other video. I will leave the link in the description. Okay, next. Okay, simple response and advanced response. This is one of the workflow. Now in some application, there can be chances that there can be similar type of items multiple times. For example, a single WooCommerce order can contain multiple products, and each product can have multiple related terms, okay, which has values. For example, one order has two product 1, product 2. So they have name is product 1, name is product 2. They also have prices. Okay, so pricing of product 1 is $20, pricing of product 2 is $30. So we need to capture those things in an array format. Why? Because we never know how many products are going to come inside each order. Okay, so in that case, there is an option called simple response, which you turn on by default. Okay, but if you want to capture any data in an array format, then you need to turn it off. And then if you open the response received, which is basically data coming in from any trigger application or any action application, both have response received. Okay, so in here you will see the data called line items, right? So here you can see let me just copy this data. Okay, so here you can see the ID is 6, ID is 7. So this is the one product, this is the second product inside a single order. Okay, so whenever there are like multiple instances of the same type of data, you make sure that you capture that response with advanced response, means simple response toggled off. So here is the example of another workflow where the response was captured with the simple response toggled on. Okay, here you will see that the metadata 0 ID, metadata 0 key, 000, then 111. Okay, so this is not useful when you do not know how many items are coming through each time. Okay, because if, for example, first time the only 3 items came and you map them in a Google Sheet for column 1, 2 and 3, and next time 5 items came, then the remaining 4th and 5th item will not be mapped to anywhere in the Google Sheet. So your workflow will have error or not the desired output you want. Okay, so that's the issue you will. So in any trigger application or any action application, where there are chances of multiple responses getting from the application, you make sure you always capture this with the simple response turned off. Okay, let me actually show you the example of action. And in the tree action application, we will select just Google Sheet, and we will select the get rows. So now get rows will have a multiple rows, right? And each row have same header. Okay, for example, we are going to use 100 rows to PDF. Okay, and we want the all the rows to, for example, be 100, right? And if we click on send and save test request, you will see the 0, name 1, tag 1. Okay, so this is not the ideal thing we want, because we never know how many rows are going to be there which are filled rows. Okay, it will still only capture the filled rows, right? But we never know the exact number of rows. For example, there are only 50 rows which are filled, then we are only able to map the 50s. But next time when the workflow runs, it will have 60 rows filled, so it will capture the 60 rows. Then you will not be able to do any processing in the 51st to 60th row, right? So I know this is getting bit of technical, but yeah, this is very important to understand, right? One more thing, there is a two values here, label and value. You can also call the label as a key and value as a value. So any response is generally in this particular format, key and value, or label or value and value. Okay, so this is a common type of data structure you will see in this particular automation industry. Now let's get understand the connection. For example, as you can see, I connected Google Sheet here. So if I click on connect button, now there are option to add a new connection or select an existing connection. If you are using the Pabbly Connect first time or any other software first time, it will ask you to add a new connection. Then you need to provide the related details and connect your application. You can also specify a particular name, okay, to better understand what exactly account it holds. For example, I use multiple Google Sheet accounts with this particular Pabbly Connect account. In that case, I differentiate what is the name of the owner of the Google account. Okay, in existing, now there is a good option called update and delete. You can delete existing connection in case the API key is expired or something like that. Okay, you can also update the existing integration. You can change their name, and you can also update the connection data, for example domain name or API key, which you can do from here. You will not be able to see the already present data in the connections. Okay, you can only add your new data and update it. You cannot see the previously API key which Pabbly is already using. This is for security purpose, I think. Okay, so connections are done. Now let's understand the mapping. So for example, we want to add a new row, okay, inside Google Sheet. We click on connect and we click on, let me go to Pabbly leads. Okay, so here you can see there are many options available, right? Like CXC, lead ID and other things. So if you type something manually, for example Fagun Shah, this is a manual mapping. Okay, this is a static mapping. Okay, this is not dynamic. Okay, now if you map some data from above action or above trigger, for example, let's select the webhook here, and we will just pass some dummy data in here. For example, name is equal to Fagun Shah, right? And yeah, okay, so this is map. We will connect it again. By default, you will not see if you have already action added and you add the data to trigger again. Okay, So you need to reconnect it, and now you will be able to map the data from the trigger. Okay, so this is also one issue which many people face. So in case you don't see this drop down, just refresh this particular workflow, okay, or just click on connect icon again. Now this is called dynamic mapping. Why? Because for this particular test it is mapping Fagun Shah, but whenever there is a new webhook data is captured, it will automatically replace this with that particular data. Okay, so for example, next time someone passes name called Nirali Shah, okay, so the data will be replaced with the Nirali Shah, right? So this is called dynamically mapped value, and this is called statically mapped value. This is static, it is not going to change anytime, it will always pass the value called Fagun Shah, right? Now one more thing, there are other two types of mapping as well. One is selection from a drop down, okay, and another one is you can pass the ID with the map toggle icon. Okay, so this is to pass IDs of particular applications, spreadsheet, or you can say the list or the tags or something like that. Okay, so this is how you map it. When someone says you to map it using map toggle icon, you need to do this. Okay, and when someone says just select it from the drop down, you need to select it like this only. Okay, these are the terms you will come across in the support a lot. Okay, so next one is save versus save and send test request. You have already noticed maybe that, for example, we add Fagun here, okay, and email is demo@gmail.com and 8238197911. Okay, so let me open that Google Sheet as well. So currently you can see here in this Google Sheet there are only 2 rows. Okay, now we come back here and you can see the simple response is turned on. It actually doesn't matter for this particular action. Okay, and if we click on save, there is no response received. Why? Because when you only click on save, Pabbly saves the data locally. It does not send or make an API call to the external application like Google Sheet. Okay, now what is an API call? So in simple language, API call is the way to send data to external applications. Okay, so if we click on the save and send test request, it means it will save the data locally and send the data to the external application. As you can see, the third row has been added now, and you will also get a response in return from that particular application. Okay, so this is the response we received from the application, which is Google Sheet in our case, right? Now this response structure stays the same for each application's particular actions. For example, if you use add new row, then the response structure will always stay like this. The first label will be spreadsheet ID, second will be table range, okay, and so on. Now the next topic is the task. So whenever Pabbly makes a call to external application like Google Sheet or to some of their internal actions as well, for example delay or API call or lookup table, they will use one task. Okay, and many of their internal applications are free as well. Pabbly is the best software which gives you highest number of free internal tasks. For example, this is the list of all the free tasks which are available inside Pabbly. Now let's move to the history and filters. Okay, so we are in this particular workflow. Okay, and we are adding a new row in here. Let me just map it from here, and this too will be passed on statically. Let's just click on save. Right now, if we click history from here, this is the history view. Currently it shows this workflow has been executed 0 times, 0 task has been consumed by, and this is for the paid task and this is for the free task. Now if we see this filter, it says the filter is already applied. Filter is applied with the workflow name. So this is only showing for this particular workflow. Okay, demo 123. Let's pass the data one more time. Okay, and now if we come back here and just refresh this particular work history, you will see one row is added in the history. This is the date and time it executed. These are the application which are available inside workflow name, right? Workflows folder, task consumption, two steps workflow, and one free task is available inside there, and one will be the paid task, which is Google Sheet task. Okay, because Google Sheet is an external application, and if we send data to that, Pabbly will count it as a one task. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. So the task status is success. The other two can be the failed or partial failed. Okay, whenever your account has a failed status task created, it will send you an email. Okay, from where you can open that particular task history ID automatically. Now let's click on this particular task history ID. Here you can see the execution time exactly, and you can also see the trigger has only data out, right? Because we haven't given any data using Pabbly Connect to the trigger. We only application gave the data to Pabbly, and the data came out of Pabbly's first step. Okay, so you can check the step execution time as well, right? And you can also see the data in a advanced format and simple format. Okay, so this is a JSON format, and this is human eye format, which we can easily check, right? Now the next step is Google Sheet. So there are two tabs here, because data is coming from the first step, which is data in. Okay, so this is the endpoint URL of our particular Google Sheet API connection. Value 0. So the first column value was mapped dynamically, Fagun Shah. Second was static. Third was also static. So for arrays start with 0, 1 and 2. So there are total 3 values are passed, right? You can also see the execution time. Let me check if the execution no. So it is executed so fast that the exit time is same for the both. Okay, and in the data out, you will see the data which we seen when we first time save and send test, clicked on save and send test request. Okay, so this is the data in the data out. So most of the time, in case any task fails, you will see the error in the data out tab, and mostly the error is related to data in. Sometimes the values are not mapped correctly, or value did not came from the trigger, and that's why the error was caused, right? So most of the error are shown in the data out and caused by data in tab, right? So this is how the history works. Now let me go to the dashboard. This was a particular workflow related history. If we go to overall history, here you can also filter out using workflow name, task status ID, and task data history ID as well, right? And range. So Pabbly gives you data history of last 30 days only. Okay, which is same for Zapier also, right? So for example, let me search by Fagun, which we just passed in the history. Okay, we need to select the name of the workflow as well, demo 123. Okay, so we select that and apply filter, and yes, you can see that the data, it will find the particular task history ID for you using the data inside the workflow. Okay, so this is very useful when someone from your clients come to you and they say we did not got any WhatsApp or email from you, and you remember that should be done by the Pabbly Connect automation. Then you can come here and check with his or her client's email ID and check if that particular step was executed properly or not inside Pabbly Connect, and at which time the step was actually executed, right? So that this is very important. The last thing I want to show you is on the forum. if we go here and you can see the tips and roadmap. So here there are many useful tips available and shared by Pabbly team, and some of tips are submitted by me as well. Okay, some other people have also submitted some tips, right? So you can always come to this particular tips, and let me show you my favorite one. So yeah, this is the one. So Pabbly has some inbuilt time functions using which you can pass the time in these particular formats to your Google Sheet or WhatsApp message or SMS, whatever you want. Okay. So yeah, this is very useful. I hope you have liked this video, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will try to add more and more basic level of tutorials where you understand the internal modules of Pabbly Connect as well, which are useful to, I think so, many people inside Pabbly group and to my YouTube audience as well. Okay, so yeah, this is the video about all the things you need to know inside automation technical terms, right? So with this knowledge, I think so you are good to go to create any automations, any type of automation in any platform, Integromat, Pabbly or Zapier. Okay, so thanks and see you in the next video. Bye bye.